This photo wasn't about quick reflexes. In fact, I wasn't following the bird at all. I set myself up, built the composition I wanted first, and then simply waited for the bird to complete the image. Hello everybody, welcome back to Tips Tuesday. This is the last video in this short little mini-series where I'm in my backyard photographing the house wrens in my backyard photo blind. And today we're going to be talking about a concept that really allows you to develop and get some images that really stand out. And that's the idea of building your compositions first and letting the bird, letting the wildlife come and fill in that composition to really complete the image. A lot of times when I see wildlife photographers out in the field, I often see them moving around a lot, panning, chasing wildlife to try to get the images that they're looking for, to try to get closer to the subjects. And a lot of times what that results in is, rushed compositions, not being aware of everything that ends up being in your image. You end up having distractions in, different parts of the frame. The background's not good. The perch is cluttered. All of these things result in, images that are less than stellar. So instead, what you can do is actually build your compositions first. And what do I mean by this? Well, a good example is if you have a photo blind. You don't need to have a photo blind, but photo blinds are a good example here, where you really need to build your compositions first. Imagine the images you're going to get from that location, because once you set up the photo blind, you can't move the blind around very easily. So what you need to do is you need to kind of set yourself up in that position first, look around at the different perches, different locations around you, look at the landscape, look at how the light is going to hit the area, so you can set yourself up in the best location possible to get the images that you're looking for. So the things that I look for is, number one, we already hit on the light. Which direction is the light coming from? Where do I need to position myself to take advantage of that light? Especially if you're going to be there at different times of day, the light's going to be hitting that location at different times of day. So you might need to go out and visit that location at those different times where you're going to be out photographing. Next, you're going to be thinking about, okay, what does the background look like if I'm in this location? Is there a location that would have a better background? What do the perches look like at this different location? Are there multiple perches I can use? Is there just one perch that I'm going to focus on? In this instance, there's one perch here because that's the location where the nest is. So that's where the house wrens are constantly perching on, going into the cavity. So it's a little bit easier in this situation. And then you can think about, okay, what is my framing going to be? Am I going to be having a lot of open space to the right side of the frame, like in this instance? What's that going to look like in the images? What's that going to look like at different times of day, different lighting? You can really start to get really detailed and build the composition that you're looking for and imagine the image you want to get before you actually even take a photo and before the subject actually even enters the frame. And that's why in this instance, when I initially set up my photo blind, it was actually about 10 to 15 feet that way. And I initially set it up in that location because I wanted to take advantage of a little bit of backlight when the sun rose up over the horizon. And in that framing, I had kind of more of a straight-on approach to the cavity, which was good. It got some good, interesting photos, especially when the birds were actually building their nest. But now, as their behaviors changed, I shifted the blind over to where it is now. And what that did was that allowed me to have basically a side profile of the cavity. I don't really see the cavity, but instead what that allows me to do is get the bird as they're poking their head out of the nest and flying directly into the cavity, because that's what they're doing now. And what that does is it creates a really nice composition, because now if I had my location where it was initially, when the bird pokes its head out of the nest, sure, it's a neat composition, but the bird gets lost in the detail, the bark of the cavity. Now, by having it on the side, when the bird pokes his head out, you just get the full side profile of the bird sticking his head out of the log, which I think is a more interesting composition. Plus, I can take advantage of some interesting lighting effects. As the sun rises, I have a tree that's in the background, and that tree gets illuminated, and so some really nice lighting effects on the leaves that happens. And there's some nice side lighting as well on the log and the cavity itself. So those are things that I looked for when I was trying to think about, okay, is there a better location I could set up to take advantage of this new behavior? And that's really where, tying back to all the other lessons in this little mini-series, I was able to recognize that behavior. And because I spent so much time with these subjects, I'm able to recognize where a good location to set up is, so I can take advantage of the background, take advantage of the light, and take advantage of their behavior and their patterns. Now the composition is already created. Now all I need to do is wait for the subject to enter the composition to be able to get the photos that I'm looking for. I already have the cavity pre-focused, so when the bird pops its head out of the nest, I can immediately start taking photos. I can use Pro Capture to take advantage of the bird flying into the cavity. All of these things make getting the images I'm looking for so much easier because I'm not chasing around trying to adjust my location all the time. I'm here, I'm set up, I have the composition I'm looking for, and all I need to do is press the shutter. And one thing I really want to reiterate is that this doesn't only apply to photographing birds around your nests. I mentioned this in previous videos that these concepts, these ideas all apply to no matter what it is you're photographing. If you're photographing black bears in the forest, find a good location where they're likely to come, find a good composition, find an area where there's good lighting, figure out the time of day that best suits that scene, sit, wait, and when that animal comes and fills that composition, you're going to get so much better images. You can do this with shorebirds. Go out, find the composition you're looking for. Maybe you find some interesting colored seaweed, some interesting colored shells, an interesting background. Set yourself up at that location, and instead of chasing the wildlife, let the shorebirds come to you to fill in that composition. Take advantage of that scene. The main goal in wildlife photography is not to chase the animals all over the landscape. Instead, it's to understand where they're likely to be, use that information to your advantage, find good compositions, sit and wait, and you'll get so much better images, so much more pleasing images by doing it in that fashion. So that is it for this little mini-series. I hope you enjoyed it. I hope you learned a lot. It's amazing how much you can practice, how much you can learn by just having opportunities to photograph species right in your own backyard. When we started photographing these house wrens, they were just building their nest and really establishing their home, figuring out, taking time to observe their behaviors, recognizing their patterns, and then building on that information to be able to get the compositions and wildlife behavior in our images. My hope is that these videos encourage you to slow down, be more observant out in the field, and also a reminder that you don't need to travel long distances to get amazing images of the wildlife around you. So again, that's it for this little mini-series. Thank you so much for tuning in, and I'll see you again next week for the next Tips Tuesday. Thanks for watching.